Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome at Ukraine Crisis Media Center Volodymyr Groysman, Vice Prime Minister of Ukraine and head of the Special Government Task Force on Investigation of the MH17 tragedy. Welcome.
Good afternoon, dear colleagues. I would like to inform you on our future developments as regards the special task force that I lead. But before I start informing you on the state of affairs, I would like to draw attention immediately to the governmental decision happening yesterday. You probably are aware of the fact that in the parliament in session, the Prime Minister announced his resignation, and according to the legislation, this should be reviewed by the parliament, and this decision has not yet been reviewed. Prime Minister decided that I have to be the ad hoc Prime Minister or acting Prime Minister of Ukraine. Today I had a governmental meeting and I announced that information. We are working as usual and all the necessary things are done to avoid any undesirable changes because the Cabinet of Ministers has to be operational, and we are operational at this point. Now, to prove that, I would like to inform you on the developments of our task force. Myself and all the composition worked in Kharkiv at Malyshev factory. We deployed the staff, operational staff, and all the necessary capabilities were prepared for examination of the bodies, forensic operations, and all the experts involved from the Netherlands, Australia, Malaysia. They all were involved in that, in preparation of the bodies for dispatchment, and all the 4 refrigerating cars with the bodies of innocent victims were unloaded, and as of now, 380 packages with the remains were examined by the experts. Over this period, we prepared 227 special coffins for transportation of the bodies to the Netherlands for identification, and 180 coffins have been dispatched, and the rest of them will be sent over tomorrow morning first thing. I would like to remind you also that we signed a memorandum between the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and 2 national bureaus of investigation according to the Convention of 1944. As an act of goodwill, we let the investigation of this terrible attack to be taken over by the Netherlands. And experts are working on a daily basis, but the most important issue is to enter the actual site, crash site, to carefully examine the site, the remnants of the bodies that we'll have to send after identification to their home countries. And we have to ratify the agreement that was signed for the police mission to enter Ukraine and to provide for security of experts that will be working on that territory. We're concentrating on that. There's interoperation between the parliament, the government, and the president to find some opportunities of fast-track ratification of this agreement. So we have to enter, to examine, to make conclusions, and promulgate for the whole world to know about the reasons of that tragedy in the Ukrainian sky. Thank you very much. I'm prepared to answer your questions. Questions, please.
From Fairfax Media Australia. I understand that last night you signed an agreement with Julie Bishop, the Australian Foreign Minister, over access for the international mission to secure the site. Can you tell us a little bit about that, if that's the case? What is the content of the agreement and what does it mean? And can you tell us when Parliament will be able to ratify it?
Under this agreement, we'll turn over all the investigative rights to the Netherlands, and we are prepared to support such police mission related to securing the site for access of the experts, and we are now preparing a special document that is to be ratified by the Parliament. I hope that this will take place next week, the ratification, that is. Сегодня newspaper. You started about that reshuffling. How do you estimate Mr. Yatsenyuk's decision to resign, and would you like to replace him, or is it an ad hoc mission for you? I think that Prime Minister is very consistent in his position, which is very honest and commendable. I came to the government on invitation of Mr. Yatsenyuk, and my position, this ad hoc position, was never a goal in its own right to me. I think the Prime Minister is the best person to be in that position right now. I think that in the conditions and in the troubles that we experienced, his decisions and the governmental decisions were very correct and timely. And I would like him to state, Prime Minister.
Can I ask you a question about the recordings between air traffic controllers and pilots, the air traffic controllers at Dnipropetrovsk? Could you tell us if those recordings are currently in possession of the government commission or the security services? Also, could you tell us if the air traffic controllers are currently suspended or if they are still working? And that's it.
Next week we'll review this issue also together with the international experts. According to my preliminary information, air traffic controllers were in compliance with all the rules, and we failed to find any breach of professionalism or integrity in their activities. Next week we'll be able to report in much detail after interviews with the experts. Volodymyr, Bloomberg. Yesterday on Twitter, Mr. Parobi announced that according to his preliminary conclusions, Boeing was downed by Russian weapons, but the source of that information wasn't presented. It's not just one source. With one source we can question it still, but we have a whole body of evidence pointing to the fact that we now understand what weapons were used and who is the possessor of such weapons. In that area we had no such weapons belong to the Ukrainian force. We are convinced there. This is one thing, and secondly, there's plenty of evidence, and Secretary of Security and Defense Council was correct in his information. Vitaly Knyzhynski, Dень newspaper. I would like to ask you, Mr. Groysman, how would you like to provide access to the police mission that is about to work on that on the crash site? There's the UN resolution and other international mechanisms that we can employ, international institutions to support us in that. As soon as we find the way to introduce experts to the site, so as soon as we do that, you'll be the first to know. I would like to clarify Reuters. Do you know where Mr. Yatsenyuk is right now? Question number one. If I get you right, the parliament is on holiday till 15th of August. Does that mean that you'll stay prime minister at least till the 12th of August? But this does not fall under any imaginable legislation. What's the document according to which you can be acting prime minister? Because we do not know the nuts and bolts. I've seen Mr. Yatsenyuk 3 times today. He is in Kiev. Now, about my tenure, I was appointed by the Prime Minister, and the government supported it. It's a pro forma function. On the other hand, there are technicalities that have to be taken care of, especially in the difficult circumstances we're in now. So this issue is quite clear, it's crystal clear, and I would like to say that no decisions as the Prime Minister of Ukraine were taken by the government. We are not in position to do that. It's beyond our competence. Mr. Yatsenyuk's status, he resigned. And he resigns when this is reviewed by the Parliament. Washington Post.
Continuing the same line of questioning, but is Mr. Yatsenyuk still the Prime Minister, and when will this be resolved? And could you please clarify exactly how many bodies were taken off the refrigerated cars? Thank you.
По тілам, по трунам я вам сказав.
I said 227 bodies. We cannot say precisely because those are remnants, and we have to identify the bodies, and the experts will state that. We're talking about units of coffins that were prepared by the experts. Speaking of Prime Minister of Ukraine, I answered that question. All the questions. I answered all the questions. He signed his resignation if the Parliament will satisfy or reject it. So I'm here with a special task to inform you on the task force that's a lead according to the governmental decision. So I'm prepared for a question in New York Times.
And can you explain, are you officially the acting Prime Minister now? And under what provision of the Ukrainian Constitution or Ukrainian law?
I will answer you. I am appointed by the government. I'm Vice Prime Minister of the government, a minister of my minister. And you know, temporarily, while Prime Minister is absent, I am, according to the governmental decision, I'm fulfilling his duty on a temporary basis. It's an ad hoc arrangement. Any Vice Prime Minister or Minister should replace the Prime Minister because Prime Minister is not available, because he signed his resignation, and for the time being, we have this governmental decision. Let's stop at this, and I understand.
In your position, ad hoc position as the acting Prime Minister of Ukraine, can you comment on reports in recent days that Ukraine is increasingly under direct attack from the Russian Federation by artillery and other weapons fired from the Russian side of the border? Do you agree with those assessments? And at what point would you say that Ukraine and Russia are at war, in direct conflict?
I would like to tell you that the commander-in-chief of the Ukrainian army is the president of Ukraine. So all the issues of ATO should be referred to the ATO staff. because this is the military function and units of the police involved in that anti-terrorist operation. I think Speaker, on behalf of ATO, answered all your questions and does it regularly. I cannot elaborate on that information. Last question. CTV, Anachayka. Another clarification. You've talked 3 times to the Prime Minister. Is he going to participate in the talks on the 12th? And he announced sanctions, Ukrainian sanctions against the Russian Federation. Is it still on the agenda? And the third thing, terrorists dropped some bodies of Ukrainian soldiers on the crash site. Is it true? I think the barbarism is known. It's atrocious, and we can expect anything. And I think that it's a great tragedy when for 4 days they wouldn't admit people from the Ministry for Emergencies to pick up the bodies for their preservation. Speaking of sanctions, that was reviewed by the government. I wasn't there. I didn't attend the meeting. I was in Kharkiv at that point, but I support that decision. It was correct. And the Prime Minister of Ukraine, I think, was very right to say this and to announce that and to take this decision. You can, I think, approach Prime Minister and ask him questions. I'm in continuous communication with him, but our conversations are all about work, and as soon as he becomes available, you'll be able to put your questions directly to him. Thank you very much. The best of luck to you.